The Rogan Report Podcast. Check it out.
All things Joe Rogan by day. Rogan Report Podcast by night. All day. All night. Half hour to an hour-ish episodes once a week.
The Rogan Report Podcast.
All right, Shane, welcome to it, episode 28 of the complete series, but we're calling this season 2.
Still are.
Yeah, so we are shifting gears here, focusing more on like one specific episode and topic versus kind of trying to do the whole previous week in a half-hour show. Seemed like we were kind of, glossing over some important stuff when we were doing it that way.
For sure. Yeah, and we're kind of getting into things a little more deep, and it's funner this way, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Am I showing up on your board there?
You are. Do you
Okay.
You don't hear yourself?
No, but that's
Uh-oh.
okay. As long as I'm showing on the board, that's the main thing.
You are showing on the board. I think I don't have the volume up very high on the headphones. I could turn it up there.
Well, I can
Or
just
there's
turn
these
mine
guys.
up.
Again, great, brilliant talk to start off the show.
This is our inner working.
Yeah, a little behind the screen or behind the camera. I don't know what you call it.
So it's been a good week weather-wise.
Yeah,
Snow's
it's
melting up.
Getting nice out there.
Yep.
Golf course is not open yet. I have been calling around, but a few driving ranges open.
Yeah.
And apparently my home course, they're set to open their driving range by the end of this weekend coming.
Yeah.
And then the course hopefully by the next week after that, they said.
You had mentioned last episode you have yourself a golfing green in the yard.
I do,
I
yeah.
arrived here a little early for you, and I got to check that out. So
Yeah.
I took a picture of that, and I'm going to share it
Oh, okay, cool.
with
Yeah.
our friendly listeners.
It's covered in lint and dog hair because my
well,
stupid
it's
dryer, the dryer vent like sprays everything out onto the.
shit.
Yeah, so it looked. I have a picture for when, and I'll send you the picture. We can maybe share both.
Yeah.
I have a picture of when I first installed it, and it's just immaculate
Just
and
gleaming.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then now it's just like
Now it
it's-
just hurts your
it makes
feelings
me
every
sad.
time you look at
yeah.
it.
But my plan is to actually move the dryer to the adjacent wall, so the
Okay.
vent will be out the other side.
Yeah, yeah.
Long term,
Is that going to mean drilling a new hole?
I
And
think I have to run electrical too, because typically dryers they're on like a whole different.
that's on like a 220,
yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a job, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you own a place, what's the point of owning a place if you can't change stuff to
Yeah.
how you want it?
and I spent like $4,000 putting that green in, so I kind of want it to be
Should be an
nice
investment,
and
yeah.
usable. yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that turf, that year-round stuff.
yeah.
Nice.
The beauty of putting in, obviously I love golfing, so I get to practice golf. But also, I just love that every time I walk by it from my garage, it's kind of positioned between my garage and my house
Mhm.
and in a nice little nook. And every time I walk by, I'm just like, get to look at it and be like, yes,
Yeah.
and just be excited about golf. But also, that area, it was almost impossible to keep actual grass growing there
Oh, yeah.
because
It's
the
just
sun just goes over
a
it for
dead
like
zone?
it's sort of a dead zone.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of like creeping Charlie that was like mixed into the grass, and I was just like tired of having to mowing in there because it's kind of a small area.
Yeah.
You have to do a lot of passes with a lot of like little turns, tight turns.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't want to have to mow. I don't want to have to water over there. And so I pulled it out, and I've been reaping the benefits ever since.
Oh, there's nothing like having a yard. You just go out there and look at it and love it.
Yeah.
God
Pretty
damn,
good.
that's some old man shit right there.
Totally. Yeah. I'm getting more and more into it the older I get.
For sure.
All right. Well, let's get into. Do you want to? What did we do last time? Did I start? Did you start?
I actually don't remember. I can jump in if you want.
Okay, sure.
So this week I drew off episode 1272 with Dr. Lindsey Fitzharris. She's an author and a medical historian.
Yeah.
She also hosts a show on YouTube called Under the Knife.
Cool. Yeah. I was saying to you earlier, like, her podcast was one of the ones that inspired me most to want to go and see the like actual pictures and video of the things they were talking about, because it sounded pretty incredible. I didn't get to do that yet, but you apparently did.
It's pretty good stuff. It's pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fascinated. It just, I mean, as soon as they were talking about it, images are coming up in my head of like, horror movies and whatnot.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, times were horrific. I mean, things got better. Let me tell you. She also writes a blog called this word's weird, the Chirurgeons Apprentice. Now it's CHIR urgins, like surgeons.
Chirurgeons, yeah.
Chirurgeons.
Chirurgeons?
Maybe it's chirurgeons.
Chirurgeons?
That could be it.
Chirurgeon.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know either. Don't know that word.
I imagine that's just some sort of occult old school type of surgeon. I didn't look that word.
Maybe
up.
it's just pronounced surgeon.
Maybe they just like to spell it funny,
Chirurgeons
huh?
Apprentice.
And she was on there to promote her book, The Butchering Art,
Yeah.
Joseph Lister's quest to transform the grisly world of Victorian medicine. Basically, before this fellow, they didn't use any antiseptics. They
Yeah.
didn't wash their hands. Shit was just dirty.
That was Lister.
Yeah.
Dr. Lister.
They were talking about how they used to have aprons and they just wouldn't clean them. They let the blood build up,
Yeah.
like at a butcher.
It was like a
this is
mark of pride.
Yeah, this is how many people I've been fixing up and chopping up, and
Yeah.
I'm
Kinda
covered
gross.
in blood. And when you think about all the bacteria, oh my god,
Yeah.
it's no wonder everybody died.
I went to the dentist and got a cavity fixed shortly after that, and there was a thing of Listerine there, and I was talking to the
Oh shit,
lady. I was like, "Oh, do you know where the name Listerine comes from?" That was Dr. Lister, first guy to kind of popularize antiseptic and come up with the
Yeah.
germ theory and whatnot.
Well, think about going to the dentist even without getting anything to dull the pain and
Yeah.
stuff, freeze your mouth. Shit would be
I assume it
horrific,
was
man.
also the barbers who were doing the dental work, and because she talked about
Yeah, they did, yeah.
barber
About-
surgeons, right?
Yeah.
And so the barbers, where they got the classic image of the pole that has the red and white thing.
It was just a white pole with red bloody rags wrapped around it.
Yeah,
That's-
to show that they did bloodletting, because bloodletting was sort of a cure-all in
that
those
too,
days.
but also if you had a bullet in your leg, surgeons would just cut your leg off.
Yeah.
And if you had a broken leg, they'll just cut your leg off.
Yeah.
So they would go to other places and be like, "Can I get a second opinion, maybe, before we cut my leg off?" So
Yeah.
they'd go get their bullets pulled. They'd get their blood let. They,
A
all
second
that kind
opinion.
of shit.
You're gonna die if we don't cut your leg off.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You would. I mean, if they didn't cut your leg off and they just left the bullet in there,
I think that in
what are
some
the odds
cases
are?
it's okay.
sometimes it's okay. You
for
just
sure,
don't get infection, and it doesn't your body reject that. I guess I have metal in me, and it's fine
yeah.
because it was all properly sterilized and whatnot. But this
Yeah.
wouldn't be sterilized metal. This would be
No. Do you think it would get some type of sterilization just from the heat of being fired off
No.
from the gun?
You do hear that people get bullet fragments left in them, and then they
Mhm.
do X-rays, and you can see the actual bullet fragments. So I guess maybe,
Well, lots of soldiers wear
yeah,
grenade
it's not that bad.
shrapnel and stuff where they literally can't get it out without killing them, so it just
Yeah.
stays in there. So, and
Yeah, tough call.
Iron Man needs a magnetic thing so that the shards don't get his heart.
Yeah, and
Same thing.
That's a fact.
A little off. But
Tough to put yourself into those circumstances and try to imagine what decisions you would make, how you would decide to.
Yeah.
Just an impossible situation.
But it's interesting about the pull. It's interesting where things come from in our society that you take for normal. You see the barber pull and you're like, oh yeah, let's get
Yeah.
a haircut.
I would have never assumed that. That's
And
where it
even
came from.
eventually the surgeons
million
started
years.
using blue and white pull.
Yeah.
Obviously there's no bloody blue rags, but they just took the symbol and ran with it.
Yeah,
And then eventually it became all three colors in America, and that was just a patriot thing.
yeah,
The Americans sure do love to fly their flag around.
yeah. They do.
Yeah, no one more. Excuse me. So yeah, they would often just go to the barbers to save the limb if possible.
Yeah,
So also about Joseph Lister a little bit, she was talking about how he was the fastest knife in the West End of London, meaning he could have your leg off in 30 seconds, which was considered fast.
yeah.
Just-
I'm sure.
Take a minute and count out 30 seconds
Yeah.
of someone sawing your fucking leg.
Wouldn't feel fast in
Oh
those
man, that's an
circumstances.
eternity.
I would think some sort of guillotine type device that just one
Ka-thunk.
one chop.
Just-
That would have it. You just tie the belt around it or whatever to get the blood to stop flowing,
Yeah.
and then guillotine it off. I don't know why that wouldn't have been an option.
But that's actually, it's funny you bring that up. I was watching some other medieval show not that long ago, how they used to use that for heads, and it wasn't always very clean.
Oh yeah,
No,
it didn't. It would just stop.
Like a
and
half
it wouldn't go
spear a
through.
head down the thing or something. Oh shit, that's
Whoops.
messy.
Yeah,
Oh man.
tough times.
Oh yeah. I mean, so yeah, Lister invented antiseptics, and when you think the word Listerine, that's who it's from.
Totally.
So yeah. Now moving on from him, another topic they brought up in that show or that portion of the show was Kellogg's. Kellogg's
yeah.
cornflakes, everyone's least favorite cereal. So
Totally.
I mean, could there be a plainer, shittier cereal when you were growing up as a kid?
There's a movie about the Kellogg kind of cult that he had with Matthew Broderick, and it was like one of my favorite movies. It came out
like
in
90s?
the early 90s.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could find it. You talk and I'll
Matthew Broderick was the thing back in the 90s. So yeah, this Kellogg, John Harvey Kellogg, was like a Puritan.
Yeah.
And you weren't supposed to masturbate a bunch or at all. So there was all kinds of fucking weird shit that people used to do to try and stop themselves from masturbating, because it would bring in like all kinds of evils. Like there was a whole list of things like it'll cause like mental, instability, loss of respiratory, fucking just ridiculous shit.
Yeah.
So this guy, he invented the Kellogg's cornflakes because they're so shitty and boring to eat that they would take away like any of your drive.
Yeah, the blandness.
Your passion. Just eat this boring shit and you'll stop wanting to whack it.
As little stimulation as possible. That was kind of the theory, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But interestingly enough, he actually followed a lot of other holistic stuff. Like he was a vegetarian and he was kind of a pioneer when it comes to gut health. Like he was always worried about his inner gut health and stuff like that. And they didn't drink and they didn't smoke. And
that makes sense.
They just lumped beating off all in that same, category. So there's this other thing called the jugum penis that she brought up. And it was like a little clamp with teeth. And I watched the episode on it. It's like a little ring thing that goes over, but if you get too hard, the spikes go.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you get too big, it'll spike you.
Yeah, there's I've heard of that before.
It's a really unfortunate thing.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's like they're probably popular in the like BDSM community.
Yeah.
The Road to Wellville was that movie. Story about the ins and outs of the unusual health facility in the early 20th century, run by the eccentric Dr. Kellogg.
Just darkness.
And Anthony Hopkins plays Dr. Kellogg.
Oh, perfect.
Bridget Fonda has a prominent role, and John Cusack is in there as well. Pretty star-studded cast.
Oh, so that probably did well, that movie.
5.8 out of 10 on
shit.
IMDb here.
Sometimes the cast doesn't do
it. Not loved by everyone. I liked it, though. I get the feeling it's probably more of a sort of a cult classic rather than general audience. Dana Carvey's in there. Michael Lerner. Colm Meaney, who is famous, of course. He was on Star Trek. He was the like operator of the transporter. What's his name? Get his role. O'Brien was his character.
I can't remember his role.
Yeah, he worked the transporter, anyways.
Okay.
Colm Meaney, Laura Flynn Boyle, John Neville, Tracy Lind, lots of famous people.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Please do.
Maybe I will. There's a lot to watch these days.
There's so much content. I am furious about it.
So beyond the jugum penis, and that's Jugum if you want to go look it up.
Jugum.
And you know how to spell penis.
Yeah.
There's another thing called the testicle taser.
Oh yeah.
That I learned about.
I've got a couple of those.
You've got some testicle tasers?
I've got one on right now.
So that thing, same concept. If you get too erect, it fucking shocks your nuts.
How does it measure erectness?
That's funny that you asked that too, right? Because like not all men are created equal.
Sure.
Like, there's different. Like, what if a dude's got a hog on him? Like, he can't even move, really, without getting a shock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, man. Times are weird. They also touched on the Black Plague and this plague mask, which you see around a lot. And, like, I never really knew what it was about. Now, if you haven't seen a plague mask, it's just basically a white mask with a fucking beak on it.
Right.
And you think, like, I don't know, weird, like, sex cults and, like, just, you'd never see that in a normal life today. But they used to just stick herbs in there, so that when you're walking around with the plague victims, you couldn't smell their rot. It was like, because they believed in like bad humors and miasmas. Like the bad smells were literally like, and they were actually onto something, because like you couldn't breathe the Black Plague that would kill you, because it would be contagious. But inadvertently they stopped it because of trying to just keep the fucking smells and the evil humors out of there.
Wow. So it did work and
it did
prevent
inadvertently, yeah. And
Wow.
they just stuffed herbs. Like, I got it written down.
That was my question. Was like, did it actually?
It did. It did, because they wore like tight gloves. They would always have kind of a hat on and a cape, so they were pretty much covered up. So they were kind of inadvertent hazmat suits.
Yeah.
basically.
I would have called it a bird mask. It kind of gives you a bird-like.
Oh yeah, yeah.
beak.
They call them a plague mask, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, my kid knew all about it, which is weird.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so
red flag.
I don't know if you knew, but the Black Plague over 5 years killed 20 to 50 million people.
That's seems like a healthy dose.
Yeah.
You think there's
Europe,
one of those on its way to us now? Some kind of plague that
very
will...
possibly. Since half the kids don't have fucking vaccines and shit.
Yeah.
They're worried about measles. They're popping up all over Alberta and BC. Like,
Yeah,
I have my shots.
I'm not really worried about the like pre-existing diseases. I'm worried more about some like modified mutation of a disease that comes and that we just like wipes out.
Isn't that
9/10
kind of what happens
humanity.
when there is vaccines though? Like the disease kind of works around and like
Eventually, yeah,
mutates, and
I
now
think
your
so.
vaccine's useless.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad times, man. Fucking, it could happen again, I guess.
Crazy.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's just sort of a dark little topic this week.
Yeah.
I love it when they say 20 to 50 million people. Like that's a small fucking
Yeah.
window.
That's a pretty.
I mean, well,
I mean, it's smaller than like 20 million to 2 billion.
the window's bigger than the smaller number. That's a problem for me.
I wonder. So it's hard for me to put in context how many people was there in that time. Like, was there even 2 or 3 billion people in the world? Because
Yeah, like probably. Like that had to be a good percentage.
yeah, much higher percentage than.
Well,
if
they
we
say
lost
it was a
20
third
million
of
now.
Europe.
A third of Europe. Yeah. See, that's crazy. Now, if they lost 20 million people, I bet you it wouldn't even be a tenth of Europe.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think LA has
Still be
30
shit.
million people
Yeah.
plus Mexicans, as
Yeah.
Joe always says.
We could stand to lose LA, I think.
Yeah.
put a little plague over there on those.
Let me
guys.
go see it first, though, because I do want to go see it.
Yeah, it's on my bucket list of places to go as well.
Before it burns
Go
down.
to the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
All right, I take it back. Don't put a plague on fucking LA.
Not yet, anyways.
Okay.
Oh,
So, moving on.
Yeah, I think I'll pass the torch.
All right, thanks, Shane. That was fun. So I wanted to talk about social evolution, and I was curious. I loved the episode with Nicholas Christakis on it, episode 1274, and I didn't realize when I was listening to it that the incident, he was involved in an incident at Yale where a bunch of students were pissed about an email that was sent out by his wife, actually, and they had this big protest, and he went out into the like courtyard area to try to talk to them and like reason with them. And it's like super, like, you've probably seen clips of the people just like crying and like, your words are violence, this is our home, you must resign, I want you to be fired, look at me in my eyes, don't yell at me, don't talk to me, look at me in my eyes,
As they scream at him.
yeah, just like
Which is crazy.
insanity where you're like, these people, like, they obviously they have this mob mentality that kind of overtakes them, and there's grandstanding, and like they do talk about it in the beginning of the episode as well. I just didn't realize that they were talking about this specific famous clip that I'd seen clips of. So afterwards I went and watched the whole 23-minute and apparently there's like hours of footage of it available on YouTube, but
Jesus.
I watched a 23-minute clip of him talking to different students and trying to explain his position, and them just not getting it at all. And then I watched a few other videos about, we've talked a little bit about like Jonathan Haidt and the coddling of the American mind, and just the situation that we're in these days where people seem to be getting crazier and crazier, and and on one hand, there is a strong market for ideas like Joe Rogan's podcast, not censored at all, and puts these ideas out and has thousands and thousands and millions of like people engaged and listening, like people like us, people like our listeners, I'm sure, that are just looking for extra Rogan because they don't get enough with the with the 23 hours a week he puts out of,
No shit.
of content. But it's an incredible scene that we have in the world, and Canada, very, very closely related to the States, and a lot of similar things happening up in Canada. And in a lot of my circles on the far left, I see things where I'm like, man, you're going a bit too far, and I don't think your motives are exactly what you're claiming them to be. Right. But then also when I see on the far right, there was just a big protest here at Edmonton, and the yellow vest guys that are claiming that far right side, and they ended up getting an altercation, and the police apparently just watched and didn't do anything, and then let the yellow vest guys go. One of the guys punched one of the like anti-protesters.
Oh, really?
In the face, yeah, and they just let him. He's just like, oh yeah, and apparently they're like, why didn't you help us? And the cop was just smiling, like, I didn't see it.
The cops on their side,
Yeah.
bro. That's why.
Yeah,
That's where it gets really scary when you think about the division going all the way to that level. That's kind of scary.
all right. Well, sounds like my girlfriend is home. If you guys, I'm not
Yep.
sure. The dogs often don't come across on radio.
And
or
we
on
hear
mic
them, and
here.
it's alarming. But
Yeah, I wonder. So if you just heard the dogs barking, that's because my girlfriend's home.
Yep.
And
hey, life's going on around us.
yeah, I'm gonna actually pause the episode for a quick sec here and go say hello.
For sure.
Okay, we're back after a quick welcome. It was not my girlfriend. It was actually the new roommate we have living downstairs here.
Oh yeah.
So she's very excited to see her dog again
No
after
doubt.
2 weeks away in Fort McMurray.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So anyways, yeah, this social evolution, this Dr. Christakis, he was a, what do you call him? Professor
Mhm.
at Yale University. And I think, I don't know, it wasn't really clear if he's still a professor there, but he's not in the same, he was kind of a master of this one area, and he's no longer there. I think he's just working. And his wife, who is also a professor at Yale, she left the university entirely as a result of that incident.
Oh wow.
And they kind of didn't really talk about what the incident was. She wrote this email, and in the email, the email was talking about Halloween costumes, because Yale had a policy that they put out advising people, hey, if you're going to dress up for Halloween this year, maybe you should avoid some like cultural appropriation, things like, you know, native headdresses or wearing dreadlocks or things. And she sent out this email in response to that saying, hey, do we really want for the institution to be advising us on how we dress and what we do? And, you know, maybe this isn't the best way to proceed here.
Yeah.
We're adults, you know, now we're in university. I think we can make our own decisions about
Yeah.
what we want to wear and what's appropriate and what isn't appropriate. And that got taken as she was supporting people wearing, you know,
Yeah.
inappropriate costumes, which kind of like they're saying, hey, it's not as big a deal as you're making it out to seem, but also two, yeah, so you probably shouldn't wear blackface because that's, you know, not
Yeah.
culturally appropriate.
And it's a hot button.
Yeah, and she wasn't like advising people to go out and put blackface on.
Yeah.
But she was saying this is a slippery slope. If you start having the university tell you what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and he brought up a really good point. So talked about, say you wanted to dress up as a Catholic priest, and say you hated Catholic priests because of you were abused as a child, and so you dress up as a Catholic priest for Halloween with like a little baby doll or something to go out with. Now,
Yeah.
someone who's a Catholic and sees that could be super offended, and you know,
Because they take that very seriously.
yeah, because but it's also is very true to you and something that you could feel strongly about doing. Now, who's to decide who's right there? You want the university to like have a hearing every time there's some kind of altercation, and for the university to make the decision about what's right and what's wrong. And I don't know. That seems like the more freedom. I always think the more freedom you have, the better it is.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Err on the side of freedom.
I think that, yeah, you're free to be a dickhead and wear a costume that might offend someone. And
Yeah.
yeah, everyone's free to tell you you're a dickhead.
Yeah,
I think that's all the control that needs to happen.
I agree. I think that
People can
that's-
self-regulate. Like,
That's what I want. So I've been told I'm a dickhead
yeah,
on a somewhat regular basis,
sure.
and then
Me
I
too.
try to like reevaluate. And was I being a dickhead? Maybe I was being a bit of a dickhead. Maybe next time
Yeah.
I can approach that in a different way, or maybe there's some things that I hadn't really considered.
To me, making laws prohibiting things. Yeah, is that a word? I don't know.
prohibiting.
Prohibiting. Yeah. Oh man, that's a slippery slope for sure to me.
Yeah.
Like, because things take a long time to get unillegal. Just look at very recently, weed became illegal here in Canada.
Yeah,
That took what, almost 100 years.
yeah,
Like, that's scary, and that's one that was obvious. So, like, you know,
yeah. We don't like change
no,
as
I
as a
think that
society.
personal sovereignty for me is a very important thing, and I don't like seeing that get taken away at all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's fascinating. Like, so he's into social evolution, which is a subdiscipline of evolutionary biology.
Yeah.
And it's concerned with like social behaviors and the fitness consequences for individuals other than the actor. It's also a subdiscipline of sociology that studies evolution of social systems. Speaking of this also, we haven't heard from Dr. Chris Ryan lately. I was trying to remember the last episode that he had been on, and it's been like 175
I think
episodes.
he lives in Spain, so he's only here every so often, right?
Did he,
or
was he
LA?
living in? Because he was on a bunch previously.
Yeah.
He'd be on every like 30 to 50 episodes.
Yeah, what was it
and
called? There was like the shrimp parade or something.
Yeah,
him and Trussell and Rogan.
Yeah, I forget what they were calling it
I
exactly.
think it was the
Was
shrimp
it the shrimp parade?
I don't know why
That's a
the fuck it
terrible
was
name.
called that.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
But so they're not putting those out anymore either?
I don't know.
Or
I don't
they're
know.
just,
The last time I
slowed
heard Chris
down?
Ryan was on Duncan Trussell's podcast, The Family Hour.
Okay. How long ago was that?
Fucking long time ago.
Was it?
I haven't had time for
So-
The Family Hour for quite a while.
Maybe he did move away and he's not living in the States anymore. I think he was living. He
think
was
so.
living in a van and they were like driving around and kind of touring, him and his girlfriend or wife
Slash wife. He believes in like,
slash partner.
yeah.
Yeah.
But also, isn't he like 70 almost? Like, how long are you going to be like swapping partners?
Is he that old?
He's
He
pretty
looked-
old. I know he was 65 before.
He looked pretty good for 65
Yeah,
when,
he does for
when
sure.
I saw him.
I think the blonde hair, like, for some people,
Yeah.
keeps him looking young. I don't
People
know.
have compared me to Chris Ryan.
Have they?
And- yeah.
That's
And,
awesome.
now that I realize he's 65, maybe that's less of a compliment. But yeah, we're of a kind of similar build, and I guess both blonde.
Yeah.
Blonde haired.
Yeah, I'm thinking of an actor that died. I can't think of his name though. That's right along that same look.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might have talked about that.
I've gotten that
already.
one at a fairly regular clip as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So another thing they talked about is how to evolve immortality. That was near the end of the episode. A lot of people probably turned off or tuned out because it was just a short little clip. But like they were talking about, why wouldn't evolution have ever evolved a creature that is immortal?
Mhm.
And the crazy thing is that like evolution is very efficient and it does not evolve things that you don't need. And if there's external things that are, like, if it's possible to die from some sort of external like accident or external cause
Yeah.
versus an internal cause like a disease or whatever,
Yeah.
that evolution won't. They're like, if we're just going to waste all this energy on evolving immortality when you're just going to get killed by a lion, like there's no reason for us for evolution, speaking as if evolution was a person making decisions.
Because
But-
eventually you'll die anyway.
Yeah, you're going to die anyways from some kind of accident, so we're not
There's
going to
no
put our
way you're gonna
energy
survive
into that.
Earth.
Yeah. So I thought, like, I'd never really considered that and how that would come to be. But they think there's a team of people out there that think that if we can take those external causes away and like that we will be able to evolve immortality somehow.
I could see it. But also, is that good?
I don't know.
Because are
You
we
get,
going
like,
to
a-
stop fucking? Are we going to stop making more of us?
It'd be crazy to see what like a 3,000-year-old human being, how they would like interact and
Yeah, but what if there's fucking 20 billion of those? God damn, man. We're going to become the creepy superior alien race that like takes over the whole universe.
yeah, the Greys.
Like, that's what that sounds like to me.
Could be.
And we're already talking colonizing. Like we've been, well, not we. NASA's been trying to colonize Mars or talk about it for a long time now.
Totally.
And
And the
that's
source of
the
many
next
good
step, kind of.
sci-fi movies.
We'll see it, I think. We may not see humans living there, but we're definitely going to see bases being built there before we pass, I think,
Absolutely.
for robots and whatever.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't really have a lot more. I'm too like my favorite episodes of Rogan are the really smart people, but I'm not a really smart people.
Sometimes
So
it's hard to
yeah, it's hard for me
extrapolate.
to like talk about it. I don't have a doctorate in social evolution,
I think
but
you will.
I do find the thinkers to be the most fascinating episodes. So,
Certainly the most useful.
Yeah.
For the brain.
I
Yep.
think so.
Yep.
That was 1274, Nicholas Christakis.
Yeah.
You were saying maybe we should try to promote things that we have more. Like I have a show coming up here on Thursday in Edmonton at the Brick and Whiskey. I'm playing the drums for a good friend of mine, Lauren Lynn.
That's
we're,
awesome.
We're calling the band Lauren Lynn and the Creeps and Ruben,
Nice.
which I thought we all laughed about.
Our Instagram followers and the few on Facebook
Yeah.
will have seen that video that I posted of you playing the drums not
Right.
too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which was probably about 50 seconds too long. We should have trimmed that down to just because
I'm learning the ropes
I
here.
listened to it afterwards and I was like, oh man, like there's parts of that where it's just boring, and then parts where I also fuck up a little bit. I'm like, oh, that's not a good representation of how well I can actually play. But then there's like, if you took a 10-second clip of it, it would look impressive, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah, well, for
So,
the future.
I do now, though.
Okay.
I've been learning some things this
Oh,
week.
perfect.
Do you want to touch on the UFC or just a couple of the fights that
Yeah.
caught our eyes?
Yeah, let's. It was pretty crazy one. Should we start from the main event?
Sure.
Down?
Yeah.
So Edson Barboza and Justin Gaethje. My money was on Barboza.
Oh, so
Those,
much.
Like
As soon as it
crazy-
started, I was like, oh, fuck. Gaethje's an idiot. He's going to get knocked out in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Or 10 seconds.
like Edson Barboza throws the most like creative kicks and strikes, and I was like, man,
creative, but also powerful. Like,
super powerful
that guy's
for
just
that
a
for
solid
his
muscle.
Yeah, for a lightweight, is tons of power. One of the best strikers in all of the UFC, no doubt. So I was like, yeah, Gaethje probably not going to be able to put it together, but he put it together and knocked out Barboza in the first round.
Yeah, and he weathered just a few good hits too, man.
He did.
Barboza kicked him in the head a few times.
Yeah.
It was fucking crazy.
Gaethje did poke Barboza in the eye, and it wasn't seen or by the ref or caught, and so Barboza had to kind of like that was a small factor. And I wondered after, like, how much would that have been a factor of him seeing that punch coming? Because he was kind of backing off.
I'm sure.
Maybe it was. He never really had the time to get his vision back 100%, I wouldn't say.
Yeah.
But no one was really talking about it, so I was like, all right, well.
I still think that might have happened anyway. Like, I actually was never a Gaethje fan, to be honest. This fight maybe brought me back a little bit.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it's, he was funny. He was in his like little speech after, he was totally playing to the crowd and like pumping up the like nationalism and yeah, I was feeling it too. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm on your side. Let's see another Gaethje fight.
Have you seen the Homer Simpson memes? He's the Homer Simpson of MMA. They've got him looking. They've got Homer Simpson done up like Gaethje. It's fucking hilarious.
I will go check those out.
Yeah.
David Branch and Jack Hermanson. That was another crazy fight.
I didn't see that.
You didn't
one.
get to watch this one. It was like literally 11 seconds longer. It was
shit.
fast. And Hermanson won by submission. He got him in this weird choke. Yeah, worth watching. Go check it out. David Branch, he's a competitor. He's been doing it a long time. And for Hermanson, he's from Norway. For him to win, but like so quickly like that, to just plow through Branch. Branch is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and very, very impressive. So I'm looking forward to seeing more Jack Hermanson. And
significant.
That was a middleweight bout, of course.
Yeah.
Josh Emmett knocked out Michael Johnson as well. Did you see the clip of that at all, or
no?
anything?
Well, I just saw a clip of it.
Yeah,
and I saw the headlines and stuff.
That was a pretty good knockout. I was super impressive, and that one was super late in round 3.
And Johnson talked mad shit on him too, saying
he's not a
this guy's
knockout artist.
Yeah.
So it was cool for Josh to be able to like put Johnson in his place, and that one too. I thought Johnson was probably going to take it, and through the most of the fight, Johnson, I thought Johnson was winning. He was like Josh hadn't been very effective up to that part. The third round was better overall for him, and then obviously the knockout was super effective.
Yeah.
And then you did watch Carolina Kowalkiewicz. There you go. Versus the karate hottie, Michelle Waterson. Now,
that was a tremendous fight.
Yeah, I love the karate
hottie.
She might be my favorite woman in all of the UFC.
They say that might have got her a title shot for winning that fight.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And so Thug Rose, is she in the next UFC? Rose versus, because
she's coming up right away.
It is scheduled. 236 is coming up next. I'm not sure if she's on it, but
she's fighting that what's her name? Jessica Andrade.
Yeah,
she's fucking
that's scary,
man.
Yeah. That'll be definitely a big test. I think Waterson, now she lost to Rose Namajunas already. I think, right?
Yeah.
But I think she has a much better chance against Rose than she does against
100%.
Andrade.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I was amazed at how much Waterson outskilled fucking Carolina.
Yeah, right?
Like, I like Carolina too, like as a fighter.
For sure.
Yeah.
And she has the reputation for being more of a like go forward, tougher. I was nervous for Michelle in this fight. I thought probably she would lose.
There was an armbar at the end of the second round that everybody in my household thought fucking
That was it,
Carolina's arm
right?
was coming off.
Yeah.
Like, it was bad.
And then Michelle, in her post-fight interview, she said that she heard the like joint pop
Yeah.
out, and
Oh,
but
man,
she
that
just
probably
toughed
hurt
through
the
it.
next day so fucking bad.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Um,
Or maybe it was Paul Craig actually that had the armbar on the other Nigerian nightmare, Kennedy Ninjichku. I don't know how you say his last
there's
name.
2 Nigerian nightmares.
There's another. He's not
For
a
God's
nightmare.
sake.
He's like a Nigerian wild beast or something
Oh,
like that. I forget his actual nickname.
Yeah.
But he is Nigerian,
Okay.
and he fought. He's pretty new. It might have been his debut. He fought Paul Craig,
Hmm.
and he looked to be outstriking Craig. Craig is a big like submission guy, and so Craig was like pulling guard on him and whatnot and trying to get
Oh, yeah.
submissions. And he was doing an impressive job of avoiding the takedown actually, for someone who's so new to MMA.
Yeah.
But in the end, yeah, it was like late in round 3, and Paul Craig got him. But he had him earlier in an armbar, and I think it was maybe him that said that the joint was popped out. Him or maybe both of the popped out joints on.
Well,
both fights.
It was gross, that Watterson armbar anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And then the first fight of the main card was Siddiq Youssef,
Hmm.
who is also Nigerian, versus Shaman Moraes.
This one was in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah,
I wonder why so many Nigerians.
brotherly love.
I wonder what happened.
I don't know. Nigerians are all the rage these days.
Possibly a coincidence.
But yeah, Youssef won that one by decision.
So I just happened to come across it today just by looking in MMA news. Fucking Alvarez, good old Alvarez,
Yeah, just left the UFC.
just
for
started in the
new-
one. His very first fight, he gets fucking mollywopped in the first round.
That is weird. And you watched it, yeah?
Yeah.
Because he's known to be a pretty durable, pretty durable guy.
Fought a
Alvarez.
Russian, Timofey Nastyukin, his name is.
Nastyukin.
Yeah,
I
and
like
he was
that.
Nastyukin,
Oh,
I'll tell you.
I believe you.
He fucked Alvarez up
That's crazy.
faster than Connor did, I might add.
Wow.
Yeah.
So maybe this guy could transfer over to the UFC and fight Connor.
I feel like Alvarez should have retired
Yeah.
because the
He's-
way he went down, oh man.
He's taking some beatings.
Well,
no
he got
doubt.
hit. He got
And
hit
he's-
with one that hurt him, and he just covered up, and then he just got fucking pummeled to the ground.
Ah.
It was not good.
That is not good.
Yeah.
What about, so he fought, did the other Mighty Mouse
I don't think
Johnson
so. That's
fight?
coming up.
That's on the next event or whatever?
That's going to be
I
a
know.
huge tell. Like, because this one promotion's really making some noise
Yeah.
with the quality of fighters.
Is that
and-
the same as ONE FC?
I think so. Yeah,
So they're not
that's
calling
FC.
it ONE FC. Like,
No,
they were
they're
saying
just
it's
calling
like
it one now. Yeah,
one fighting or something like that.
yeah. But I mean, that's what FC is, Fighting Club.
Okay.
Right.
Cool. Well, it's cool MMA things on the horizon here. Fun. We'll have to work out a plan for 236 to see how we can watch that.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks everyone for listening. It's been a real pleasure.
It's been a violence March month in the UFC. That's what they keep saying, like just knockout after knockout. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for the future.
Totally.
Yep.
Good matchmaking, I'd say, over the
Oh, yeah.
past
Good fights.
while.
Yeah.
Cool, man. All right. Thanks for coming over, Shane, doing the
Betcha.
podcast. Thanks, listeners, for listening. And we'll be back at you guys again next week.
Sounds good. Have a good week.
Joe Rogan's unique perspective is teaching us all how to best live, and we will attempt to recap all of his weekly podcasts. Now show your support and download the Rogan Report. The Rogan